Hey everyone, it's Nathan, and I promise that I have more than just striped shirts in my wardrobe. I am very excited about this video. This is a video that I prepare for the entire year. I have a list on Letterboxd, my first time watches of the year. I take every movie from that list, excluding new releases, and I put it into a pool and decide what are my 10 favorite movies from that list. It's very hard when you've watched a lot of good movies, and that was the case for 2021. Now, some quick ground rules. Earlier I mentioned that there are no new releases included on this list. The reason I do that is because I have a separate list for my top 10 favorite movies of 2021. If you want to see that list, it's on my Letterboxd. I'll leave the link in the description. And really the only other qualifier is it's any movie that did not come out in the new year. So a movie that came out in 2020 and before, it qualifies to be on this list. All right, guys, coming in at my number 10, I have Come Live With Me, directed by Clarence Brown. This is a James Stewart comedy movie that I wasn't expecting to ever be on this list because it's such an obscure, underrated movie. For one, James Stewart is in it, but not only is he in it, he is young. I love a young James Stewart. He's very good at acting shy and almost awkward in this movie. The movie is about a lady who needs to claim citizenship, and so she gets married to James Stewart. Through it all, of course, they fall in love. It's a classic black and white romance film, but there's also some funny things too. It was also just very touching. I loved the ending, especially the way that things turned out. There's a really cute scene at the end as well where they look at the camera and then cover themselves when they kiss. It was just a heartwarming movie that I wasn't expecting to like as much as I did. Number 9 is a movie that was recommended by Carson, my good friend here on this platform. It is The Last of Sheila, directed by Herbert Ross. The reason I love this movie so much is because it's a whodunit, and I love whodunits. I think altogether I watched 3 or 4 whodunit movies in 2021, and The Last of Sheila was my favorite of the bunch. The great thing about The Last of Sheila is it's not a movie that just presents its conclusion and then ends. It's a movie that packs a lot of information inside of it, to the point where I had to actually rewind a scene to make sure that everything added up correctly, that everything made sense for me. And it made me like the movie even more when Carson pointed things out to me that I didn't even notice. And so what I'm getting at is this was a first time watch in 2021, but it will definitely get more watches in the future because it's that enjoyable and there's so much information, things to pick up on each time. Number 8 goes to a Peter Bogdanovich film. I had 2 movies in the running for this list. It was Paper Planes and the one that made the list, What's Up Doc? Barbra Streisand and Ryan O'Neal in a screwball comedy, the screwball comedy of the year. I really enjoyed this movie. It's basically one of those movies where everything bad that could happen happens, but in the most comedic way possible. Like you got your movies like Gravity or Captain Phillips, where everything bad that happens, and it's like a drama. It's scary, it's suspenseful. And then you got your movies such as Bringing Up Baby or Christmas in Connecticut or What's Up Doc, where everything bad happens, but it's hilarious that it happens. Barbra Streisand's character is insane. Ryan O'Neal's character is hilarious with how timid he is and how he opens up throughout the movie. And then the final chase sequence, it's just jaw-droppingly funny. Is jaw-droppingly a word? It is now. And you better believe I love that final line in the movie too. I won't spoil it, but I'll let you put 2 and 2 together of what it is. And number 7 is Meet John Doe, directed by Frank Capra. It had been on my radar for years, but I just kept pushing it off. And it was this year that I finally decided, you know what? I know that it has something to do with Christmas Eve. I'm going to watch it this year on Christmas Eve. It was a great choice to do that. I will say the movie really isn't that much of a Christmas movie. The movie's 2 hours long, and it's really about the last 10 or 15 minutes that's on Christmas Eve. But I do not regret watching it at all in December because it's just still a very feel-good movie with funny moments. I really like Barbara Stanwyck here, especially the final few minutes. Her speech to John is so powerful. Was really impressed with how much it moved me because it went from a movie that was good to great to just like nearly perfect. Gary Cooper also does really well here. Edward Arnold is so good at playing the villainous roles. I've seen him play the villain now in this movie, Mr. Smith Goes to Washington, and You Can't Take It With You. I need to see more movies with him where he doesn't play a villain because I want to see like, you know, his range or whatever. Meet John Doe is a movie that will definitely be a rewatch in the years to come because Frank Capra is known for having that feel-good plot, and Meet John Doe definitely has it. Number 6 through 1 are all perfect movies in my eyes. 10 out of 10s, 5 out of 5s, A+, however you want to say them. Coming in at number 6, I have One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, directed by Milos Forman. Milos?
Pronouncenames.com.
Milos. One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, directed by Milos Forman. It was a first time watch for me, and it felt wrong to not include it on this list. The movie is so impactful, it packs a ton of punches, it's very sad with its content, but at the same time, at the end of the day, it has those feel-good elements to it. Particular scenes of this movie that were my favorites were the ones where it just felt so good. When Jack Nicholson is announcing the game because the TV isn't on, or when they all go on the boat, or when they play basketball together. Those moments were the moments that I loved One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest the most. The movie wouldn't exist. It wouldn't be what it is today had Jack Nicholson not starred in it, because his performance is iconic. It's legendary. I can see why he won the Oscar. I can see why this movie won all the Oscars it did in general. I really enjoyed it. The only reason it's so low of the perfect movies is because of how mature it is. It's not the most rewatchable movie. I find myself rewatching the next 5 movies sooner than I rewatch this one. And with that being said, at number 5, No Way Out, directed by Joseph L. Mankiewicz. I watched this movie for Noirvember, and it was a really good watch because not only did it fulfill Noirvember, but it also fulfilled a movie for Sidney Poitier in my 5 Actors 5 Movies challenge. That's one great thing about this list. You'll notice different movies from my challenges. No Way Out was super enjoyable because I went into it not knowing too much, but what I got was a movie that reminded me of West Side Story without the music, where racism and segregation is a big plot point, the difference between black people and white people, and the war that they go at. There's a very similar scene in this movie to West Side Story's Rumble, where they come together, both races, to just fight it out, and it was very well done, that scene. Sidney Poitier is in his first starring role, and he gives an amazing performance. He is so great, and it just shows that he's never been bad. He's always been great. He's always been the scene stealer in whatever movie he's in. The movie contains probably the most racist character I've ever seen on any movie ever, or at least one of them. He is very racist, to the point where he's psychotic, and if you've seen the movie, you know what I'm talking about, and if you haven't seen the movie and you're going to watch it, be prepared. The guy's incredibly racist and extremely dislikable. It's uncomfortable to watch, but the way the movie is presented was just so well done, and it really stuck with me. Coming in at number 4, I have Sherlock Jr., directed by Buster Keaton. It feels a little wrong including this movie because it's not that long. In fact, it's less than an hour. I think it runs at around 45 minutes. The movie is almost 100 years old, yet it was look at it, the 4th best watch of the year for me. I mean, come on, seriously, this movie was made in 1924? I could not believe some of the stunts I saw. The chase scene is absolutely iconic. It was so well done. The scene with the movie theater, and when he jumps into the movie screen and he's part of the movies all of a sudden, it was so cool. I watched this movie, and shortly after, I saw Shang-Chi in the theaters. And I didn't like Shang-Chi because of how many visual effects there were and how much green screen was used. It made me think, why is it that a movie made in 1920s is more enjoyable than a movie made in 2021? It should be the opposite. Buster Keaton, he used practical effects. He was his stuntman. They didn't need a green screen. They couldn't use a green screen. But it just shows that a movie made in the 20s can be more enjoyable than a movie made in 2021. Number 3, I have a movie that was from my 1970s movie challenge. It is All the President's Men, directed by Alan J. Pakula. I'm sorry if I mispronounced that. All the President's Men made me want to be a journalist, like Indiana Jones made me want to become an archaeologist. It's these movies that make a career that may not be the most exciting thing in the world, the most exciting thing in the world. This movie particularly deals with the Watergate scandal and the effects of it, as well as the people involved in it. It's really cracking down the story of what happened with that whole scandal. Robert Redford and Dustin Hoffman are the 2 main leads, and both of them give great performances. In fact, there's one scene in particular where Robert Redford is having a phone call, and he messes up on his lines, but it doesn't feel bad at all because it just seems like that's something his character would do. Stumble over his lines or say the wrong thing. I even read, I think, that it was a screw up on the lines, but that it works so well in the scene that it doesn't even bother me. In fact, I think it complements the scene even better. But that's just one small example of how good these 2 actors are. Really enjoyed this movie, and I definitely see myself rewatching it in the future. Now, number 2 is a 2020 release, but it came out in the US in 2021. However, it was part of the Oscars for 2020, so I'm including it in this list. That is The Father, directed by Florian Zeller. The reason I love The Father so much is because not only is it dominated by Anthony Hopkins' amazing performance, but also the way that it's edited is just insanely well done. I love that this movie puts us in the same position as Anthony Hopkins' character, Father, where we're losing our minds with him. We're sitting right next to him on this roller coaster where we're also unsure of what's happening. The way that Florian Zeller chose to have different actors play the same characters, or that he had scenes take place in a different order. It was just all so well done. I mentioned Anthony Hopkins already, but I mean, his performance is also a big reason that this movie ranks as highly as it does, because I was just floored by his performance. I thought he did an outstanding job. And then my favorite first time watch of 2021 has to go to From Here to Eternity, a movie directed by Fred Zinnemann. I didn't really know what to expect from this movie other than hopefully liking it because it was a Best Picture winner. I was excited going into it because it has Donna Reed in it, and I love her from Wonderful Life, but I was also intrigued because it has Frank Sinatra in it, and I had never seen a movie with him in it. The whole entire movie is just filled with so many things I love. I love the performances from the said actors I already mentioned, Donna Reed and Frank Sinatra, but also Montgomery Clift really gives a great performance. And in addition to him, Burt Lancaster also gives a great performance. It's a World War II movie, and you can kind of expect some things to happen with the setting that it takes place in, the location it's on, and when they do happen, they are just as impactful as you would imagine them to be. I really loved Montgomery Clift's character in this movie, Pruitt. He's one of those characters that reminds me of Henry Fonda's character in 12 Angry Men, where he sticks with his decision and he doesn't back down. I love those kinds of characters because they're inspiring for me and my own personal character. I was also very impressed with the direction the movie went in with some of the characters' progression and decisions that they make. We also have a very small supporting role from Ernest Borgnine, and he has become a favorite of mine recently, and so it was awesome seeing him here too. Just all around, From Here to Eternity was that movie to me that stuck out to me. It ended, and I knew right then and there that it was either going to be #1 of the year or at least close to #1. And that was a summer watch. The fact that it's stuck in that spot the rest of the year is so impressive. 2021 had so many great movies to watch. If you're curious of all the movies I watched, go ahead and click on my Letterboxd list. I have all my first time watches, and you can go ahead and filter it by my highest rating to my lowest rating, just to get an idea of what other movies I was considering for this list. I want to hear your guys' favorite watches of the year. Comment them in the comment section below, and exclude new releases. Let's only talk about movies that came out in 2020 or before, because we have our own lists for the new releases. I want to hear the other movies that you discovered this year. Thank you guys so much for watching. Stay tuned for more rankings coming soon. Have a great day.